Welcome, everybody, to Sunday Mornings with Twitchy Woman. Today we have George Ackerman as our guest. He is the most amazing advocate out there. He is everywhere. He was in where was it, New York yesterday for the Unity Walk, and he goes to everything. He does not have Parkinson's. His mother had Parkinson's and unfortunately passed away after having the disease for 18 years, 20 years.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
scares me because I'm a 17. So, but he's a prolific author, writer, podcaster, and he is one of the best advocates we have out there. And if we can find the video, actually, George, if you want to show that video, it will tell you a little bit more about him, and then we'll go
I
into our
don't even,
conversation.
I don't know which video. You mean the New York City one? I'm on a different
No,
computer.
it was an ABC.
Oh, that one. I can try and sure, sure. Let me
We have
see.
to give you permission to share the screen. So, let's
Yeah.
see.
If anyone's listening at home, you can go to togetherforsharon.com and then it'll be right there, but I can share it. I just hope you can hear it. Just let me know when you give me control. Oh, I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
I have to give you,
I
make
think
you
you
a
already
part.
did. I got it.
All right.
Now, which one? Because there's three of them. Which one did you, the one they lit up for the PD Avengers or just regular any of the, I mean, this
That
one's
one, Hometown Heroes.
it's a little long, but all right, here we go. If you
Okay.
can't
That,
hear it, let me know.
okay.
Hometown Hero is turning
You
to
hear that?
Yeah.
a mission, pushing for more awareness, research, and support for families affected by Parkinson's disease so that they never feel alone. It's a cause close to George Ackerman's heart. He lost his mother, Sharon, in 2020 after an 18-year battle with Parkinson's disease. As her caregiver for the last 4 years of her life, he saw days filled with hope, immediately followed by heartbreak. And he says too often they felt like they were navigating it all alone. That's why he started Together for Sharon, a movement created in his mom's memory, designed to be a free resource and a community for families facing Parkinson's. His hope is that no one else has to search for answers without support.
The caregiver, my mother and I struggled. Whether it was, a state of depression, wonder, hope kind of struck down. We would try this, it didn't work. Then we rotate, try something else, also didn't work. And when you have that door, imagine a door slamming in your face every day. It's a tough battle. And as a caregiver, it's something not easy to describe. But for my mother, that's why I believe she's, really the hero here. And we do this, and I do it only for one reason. I don't want other families to ever feel alone in this fight. And also, I don't want anyone to have to go through the battle that my mother did.
His impact has reached far beyond South Florida. Last March, George represented Florida in Washington, D.C., advocating on Capitol Hill with the Michael J. Fox Foundation. He's heading back to D.C. again this month. He also hosts a podcast where he's interviewed more than 3,000 people around the world, including patients, caregivers, advocates, and public figures, all connected by the disease. He's also written several books with 100% of the proceeds going to Parkinson's organizations. George says if his work helps even one family feel less isolated in their journey, then every interview and trip to Capitol Hill is worth it. If you'd like to learn more about Together for Sharon, just look for this story on our homepage.
Okay. Right, let's
All right,
take it
Toba.
down and let's do Marina, if you can pin just the two of us and we'll get started. So, how many of you have heard about George? Everybody? He came on the scene, what, about 4 years ago?
Six,
And seven?
six, six.
Six, okay. And literally has taken the Parkinson's world by storm. He came out of nowhere and started this. And of course, since it was my name and I have a grandson named George, it was a good fit for us. And I was one of the early interviews, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's got a piece about me in his first book. I don't know how. First of all, when do you sleep?
Well, first, I want to thank everyone for your time and make sure that you know you're not alone. I don't sleep. I actually had a funny test a few weeks ago. They put a thing on your finger to see why you're not sleeping, except I didn't sleep. So I don't know what the point of the test was. And that's what they found, that I don't sleep. But my name's Dr. George Ackerman. I'm in Florida. I'm originally from New York. And unfortunately, my mother lost her battle in 2020. And the day after, we were kind of in shock, or were in shock because she lived it with 18 years of battles. She didn't really tell us even what Parkinson's was until the last 4 years when I had to become her caregiver due to long story. If I had to write a book about called The Sun Journey, but we didn't want her to be forgotten. I feel like she was only 69, but I feel like she lost 20 years living due to Parkinson's, and then probably 15 years even, after. So we decided to start a little website in her memory, and I never dreamt it would have grown. We've had over, we thought 3 or 4 people would have been fine, but we've had over 80,000 people visit the site. And it's, sometimes I'm happy about that, but I'm actually not because I'd rather we find a cure and no one on this call or listening to this has to, battle this anymore. And that's why I'm driven to never give up, whether I have my own health issues or it's not easy to fly to New York 3 years now for one day, but we do it. And not yesterday, if anyone was at the Unity Walk, we were with Michael J. Fox, but my hands were literally frozen. It was so cold and it was raining. So it was a, was a tough day. But like I said, I would go back a million times just to reach one more person to be aware of Parkinson's.
Well, we thank you on behalf of all of us with Parkinson's for the work that you are doing. He has been able to go in with his health issues. He went to Washington, D.C. last month. I did not go. I chose not to go because it's too hard for me to travel alone at this point. I chose there was a Parkinson's lobbying in Sacramento a couple weeks ago with just one day, and I didn't go. I can't do this stuff by myself anymore. It's too hard. So it's so good to have people like you, George, who will be out there and speak for us, because there's so many people who, even if they live with somebody with Parkinson's, they don't understand what it's about. They're not educated. And one of the things I try to do is, educate people about Parkinson's disease, whether they have it or a family member has it. And that's but we need spokespeople like you. And 84,000 viewers, that's amazing. Or followers, that's amazing. I've been around a lot longer and I don't have nearly a fraction of that. So,
Yeah, but yeah, we're a family in this. Again, one thing that's unique is we don't want anything. It sounds funny, but in the beginning it was not easy because in 2020, 3 or 4, unfortunately, well, before I get to that, my background is I'm a police officer and I'm an attorney in Florida and Washington. I also have a PhD in criminal justice. So my world was dedicated to victims of crime until my mother's Parkinson's progressed, and I kind of left it all to help out my mother. But one thing out of the darkness and losing my best friend has come a lot of light. Meeting people like Sharon and all of you, there's people here too, like Karen and Dawn, who are literally my family, and I don't think I'd be able to make it through a day if it wasn't for this community. Again, I don't want anything. So it sounds like, when you start, it's funny because as a cop and a lawyer, you think it sounds like a scam, but when you find out I literally don't want anything, the only person I'm scamming is myself. So it's, but we spent a lot of money too, like probably over $70,000, which I don't talk much about, from our family donating to the American Parkinson's Disease Association, Parkinson's Foundation. We've probably been in about 7 of each of those organizations, Moving Day and Optimism Walk, and also a big supporter. I've been to every single, almost except Nashville, Michael J. Fox event last year. It's not easy. My own family kind of jeopardy some days because they want to see me. I have 3 kids, but even the latest book and probably my, I don't say last, but it might be book was about my 3 children and my mother's journey. Because today, even sitting here with you all, I look in my backyard on Sunday morning, and they used to all love to blow bubbles on Sunday and color and coloring books, but can't do that anymore because of Parkinson disease. And every journey is different. So what happened to my mother, our journey, does not at all, mean it'll happen to other people. So I'm not here to scare anyone because I know people living, 100 with Parkinson, but I just speak from our journey and our family.
mhm. So how did your children react to all of this? The fact that
My
he's
young,
never around anymore because he's too busy doing all this stuff for Parkinson's.
well, I mean, my daughter is actually pictured behind me. This is virtual, but that's our latest book, which is about my mother and my daughter's journey because they were best friends too. And my mother had 2 boys, so she was kind of upset. She wanted a girl and never had it. So I remember when we told her, we were all crying together that, we finally have a daughter, but it's her granddaughter, and she was excited to dress her up in dolls, buy dolls and little women, princess thing. But she kept saying when she was really battling towards the end that she wanted to be here for Brooke's wedding one day, and unfortunately not possible. So my youngest didn't really know her. He was only one. My middle remembers her, and my daughter, remembers her because of the work of Through Awareness. As long as I'm out there, and advocating, but I feel like she lives through everybody, even today that we meet. And no one who lost their battle should ever be forgotten because of Parkinson's. I try on Together for Sharon to have a section called In Memory of all those who lost their battle because, again, they still live through us all.
Mhm. So what you're doing is just it's beautiful, it's amazing. Um, Trying to think how to phrase this. Okay, so you have your first two books are about people with Parkinson's,
The first
correct?
one was about my mother's journey.
No, I
The
mean
second,
after your mother. Then you have the two compilations of
mhm.
people's stories. And
Yeah,
then
that's
the
an important book, actually. It's called Voices of Resilience. If you go on our website, actually, if any of you email me, I can send you. Most of the books now are available completely free. I email it. So if you want a copy, the only one isn't is it's too complicated, the children's book. But if you want a free copy of A Son's Journey, I wish I could. I always joke and say if I win the lottery, which I don't play, I'd mail all the books for free everywhere around the world. But we do send them via email for free, so that's good. But the son's journey to me is the most important. But after that, 2 years passed since after my mother passed, and I didn't even know or think of the people out of the U.S. And I was kind of heartbroken a second time when I found out 10 million people around the world are battling, not just 1.2 million in the U.S. And that's when kind of went on my own little journey and realized how important it is to bring voices of people out of the U.S. to the forefront. And that's when I interviewed 3,000 people around the world, including Sharon, Dawn, also Karen, but so many people have become family of mine now, from Australia to the UK to Nova Scotia. There's not a state or country in the world that I don't think we've interviewed somebody, because Parkinson does not discriminate, as everyone knows. It doesn't care about gender, race, or where you live. And we need awareness for everybody around the world. And that's why I'm really excited to announce again that I'll be at World Parkinson Congress, but not that I'll be done after that, but that's really going to be I'll probably be falling apart because I'm 6'2" if you've met me, and I'm a pretty tall guy and tough from police. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, in a crime area. But when we talk about my mother, I fall apart still. So it's going to be a beautiful time. I can't wait to hug Sharon and everybody out there. But to be able to meet people out of the U.S. is something I can't even describe because, again, there's a lot of people from, Parkinson's UK, Parkinson's Canada, Australia. One of our guests today, or somebody here listening, I know, said you're in another country. And it's funny, when we have our show, we have had many, many people out of the U.S., like in Australia. We always joke how it's like, pitch black while they're on there. And then here it's, a lot of different time zones. But we don't let time zones, we don't let weather, we don't let anything stop us from advocating for those battling today, your families, and also the future, because, I'm worried someday my children will have to battle this too.
okay. So you at the Will Parkinson's Congress, are you going to? You said you have a book that's going to be in the Book Nook.
I think they're putting all of them, but
Oh, all of them.
we've been
Okay.
honored though. The son's journey, which was my mother, that's about my mother's journey, and mine as caregiver. That one will be on stage actually talking about. So that's a huge honor. I never dreamt I'd be on stage at World Parkinson Congress. I just want to be in the audience and in the hallways to meet everyone, because they probably might not love it. I always say it, but I'll probably won't make it 3 inches or feet through the corridor because I want to meet all those 3,000 people attending, because in some way, unfortunately, it might be a once in a lifetime, because I have trouble traveling a lot. I've had 4 back surgeries myself, and I can go anywhere and do anything, but then I lay for 3 weeks after in the bed crying. So, but anyway, that's like really the pinnacle for me of advocacy, is to be able to be with you, Sharon, everyone in the room live for the first time.
Well, what ends up happening, and Andrea was there last time with me. You run into people that you've only seen online, but everybody is hugging and crying, and it's like it's so good to meet you finally in person, and it doesn't mean that you've never met, being on Zoom, it goes a long way towards giving us the support we need. It's not the same as being able to give somebody a hug, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's why we, it's hard because even from Florida to New York costs $3,000 just for today. Like we literally went 3 years now to Unity Walk, and we love, being in that community, but I don't know how long we could keep that up because, we take 3 people and then, hotels in Manhattan
Right.
and that. But, every time we come home, like literally my first year was beautiful. Second year was rainy. Yesterday, unfortunately, it was bad. It was very bad, the weather, but my hands were frozen. And I'm from New York, but I couldn't feel, I was scared I was going to lose my hands. But I would go back today, to be with the community. I had the honor to meet Terry Crews, the famous actor whose wife also just announced, you might have seen throughout the media, that she has been secretly battling Parkinson. So seeing them, meeting them, getting a picture was also life changing. But it's brought me to a lot of places I never thought I'd be, with Mr. Fox. I met him several times. Just being with community members throughout the world, it was just, again, something that's hard to explain. And there's some days where I feel like you have to close the page in a way and move on. But as long as I know that Sharon and everyone in this room and everyone listening are still battling, then could be sure I won't stop.
So what's next on your agenda?
Actually, it's important and exciting, but also heartbreaking. But we're wrapping up on our first ever documentary we're making to follow the book Sen's journey. It's about my mother's life, my mother's battle, and then me as a advocate today. But it's hard to put it together because reliving, I filmed the last year of her life, so it's been a struggle to be able to watch it again, but also what to put in and what not to, because we don't want to, show everything out that she went through, but you don't want to also hide it because then you're not really showing the world what Parkinson's is. And my only hope is that people out there who are not aware start becoming aware. And it's interesting. We started a show. It's called Parkinson's Policy Podcast, and it's Margaret Preston and myself. She's with in Virginia with Power Over Parkinson's, another organization. But it's shocking finally that states, it's not really just federal. You have to really, if everyone here can reach out, whether you're in the U.S. or not, reach out to your representatives because I'm seeing our show is only about politics and really again about the chemicals like paraquat, how we need a ban. Today, Australia and the U.S. are the only countries that haven't banned it, but we're seeing state by state finally, and Pennsylvania really is leading the way. How responsive and how much they actually care about their citizens. I can't say that for the federal level because we haven't been getting good response, but we feel that I can write 400 letters. I actually got a response from the White House, which is surprising because when I wrote former President Biden, they sent like one of those kind of fake letters. So I was really shocked that the White House actually wrote back. And the president obviously is a little busy, especially up to this weekend. But just knowing that we're out there, everyone, and that this is an issue is that's all we can ask for. But everyone in this room, I hope, and listening, will even today, it's free. Just email, message, go on, TikTok, go on Facebook. It doesn't matter, and write your representatives and tell them to ban toxic chemicals in our environment and our landscaping and even dry cleaning. Also, the fruits, the things they're spraying on the fruits, vegetables. Don't get me started because I can talk for
Yeah.
there are things we can finally do. I couldn't say that 2 years ago after the national plan. I helped lead Florida in that vote. So U.S. Senator Rick Scott has been a close ally, which is really incredible to have a U.S. Senator knows Parkinson's. I met with him several times in his office in DC, but to know that they do know about it and they do care. But again, we need everybody in every state to start getting involved.
Yeah, if you do not know about it, if you go to the Michael J. Fox website, you can sign up for their policy network, and they send emails out regularly about things you can write to your senator for, and they're already pre-written. All you have to do is basically sign your name, and you can make changes if you want to, and it goes automatically to your senator, your congressperson, based on where you live, and they may not read each one separately, but the numbers count, and I forget what the ratio is, like each letter they receive represents X number of people. Do you know what I'm talking about, George?
Yeah, I mean, if I just send a million letters, they might ignore it, but if everyone across the country is, they're going to see it. If you don't mind, I could share one more thing quickly, but this is our new show. It's the one I'm working on day and night, but it's all free again. If you click on togetherforsharon.com, you click podcasts. We have a whole TV channel now, don't we? We have several shows, but the big one for me, at least, besides my own, which we have 4 seasons, 400 guests. We just had the CEO of Michael J. Fox Foundation on. We've had every CEO there is, and you can find the show with Karen, also with Dawn, and also with Sharon. But if you scroll here and you'll notice, if you scroll down, we've had representatives from Pennsylvania. We actually had the former head of the NIH who we need to reach. We need to get to the NIH to help fund research. We've had also state representatives. This show now, we've had senators. It's growing, but excited that actually on Monday we have Mr. Feehan, who is in charge of policy at Michael J. Fox. He's coming on the show. So the show is growing. Our goal, really, if you want to know, it's nothing to hide, is we want to have a senator from every single state in the country. And until we have that, we won't rest. We even had Vermont the other day, which is just fun to me. I learn a lot still. I guess I'm just a student, eternal student, but as long as I still have things to learn and we have a voice, we're going to make sure we're heard.
Yeah, and there is a Parkinson's, oh shoot, what do they call it? There's a Parkinson's coalition in Congress. And if you can find there's a list of everybody who's signed on to it. And if your senator or congressperson are not on the list, you need to get them on the list. You need to contact them many times, I guess, just flood them with letters and say you need to be part of the Parkinson's. Was it coalition? I can't
It's a
remember.
council. The national plan has now finally been named as a
Yeah,
council.
but
They're meeting in June.
yeah, this wasn't the national plan. It was something, I forget. There's a group in Congress of people who are supporting whatever Parkinson's stuff that comes out.
That's different. I'm not sure. I know that they're from the plan now. They have an actual council of 30. I believe it's 15 regular. I don't know if
Yeah,
we call regular, but people throughout the community, and 15 from federal agencies. And their first meeting is June. And we actually have about 7 of those members on our show. So pretty
yeah,
exciting. Like Sarah Whittingham, she's been on our show too.
yeah. Sarah, I've had Sarah Whittingham, Michael Oken,
Yeah.
both of them in the last couple months,
Yep.
and they're both on the National Council, which is terrific. So I'm going to open this up to the group because I think they have a lot of questions they want to ask. So just raise your hand like this, or you go, raise it on. You can click on what is react, and you can raise your hand with a little emoji. Any questions, Karen?
This is going to be a tough question.
I just want to say thank you for everything you do and for the shout outs here. Because it was an honor to be in your little library there of interviews, honestly. And I'm here to say, yeah, you don't sleep. There's been several times that I've seen you online when I know it's really late on the East Coast, saying, reminding you that, yeah, you need to sleep too. So yeah, but really, thank you for everything you do. There's been a couple of times that you've, helped me out, specifically individually, making sure I know I'm not alone in a couple of sticky spots. I really thank you. And I want to congratulate you also at being one of the finalists for the Scott Newman Award.
Oh, thanks. Right.
Yes. You and Robert Cochran, we're both finalists for that. And that's really huge. But one question though, if I wanted to see if I heard you correctly, you're giving out, if we email you, maybe I can get a replacement copy of your specifically Policing for Parkinson's book, because that's actually very important.
And one big thing is the only thing I ask in return is share it around the world for free.
I did share it when I had it, but I got to get another copy.
Of course. I'm not, when I started out, I was mailing them, but we can't afford it. It's $10, but we do offer, like if big organizations like Michael J. Fox has it on their website, we donate all proceeds to them. So,
Yes.
even Karen, like if you have people, if they purchase it, well, if they put your name, we'll give you the money from it. But the ebook is completely free. Not all books, unfortunately, are out yet, but we do have A Son's Journey. We have the policing a lot. We didn't have time, but as everyone might know now, I'm a police officer. So I was just shocked. My book on policing and Parkinson's is it's a thick book. It's kind of like a little bit technical because it's not just a written book. It's to teach people about law enforcement. But then the second part, I interviewed one academy in every state in the United States to ask them if they have the worst Parkinson's disease in their training for new recruits, and none of them did. Also, I interviewed several people with Parkinson's, and we found that they fear the police, which should never be. And the third is I interviewed about 20 actual police officers. None of them really heard of Parkinson's disease. So this to me is a big epidemic. It's something I hold personal, and this applies to every country. It doesn't matter if it's just, I did mainly US because that's where I'm an officer. You have to have your law enforcement aware of Parkinson's because I don't want to see a life lost. They just passed something called the Blue Envelope Law in the United States, which is for people with autism in police. Unfortunately, we lost somebody life with autism because the police were not trained. I don't want to have to wait till something like that happens with someone with Parkinson's before they start, talking about it. But I found very, very difficult to get police to understand, very hard to get anyone, involved about this. And even at the World Parkinson's, I applied to speak about it, but they didn't accept it, which was surprising. But it's, they look, I think, more to the medical world. But this is something I'm surprised that it's not being spoken about in any single agency. I mean, they do say they have like this preparatory thing at the WPC, but it's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about we need, everyone in the world talking about this with their local police, sheriff, and even federal law enforcement, because if someone is, timing is off on medicines, or if you're just driving down the block and sometimes they think you're DUI or drugs, and it's not gonna, it takes one less than a second. I can't even say the time for someone to make a wrong move or a wrong decision because they're not aware. Yeah, I mean, there are things now we're coming out, but what I'm doing now, which is pretty amazing, is I'm starting a little database on my site. So if anyone here sees something on TV where someone with Parkinson's was, not treated nice, or whether it was good, bad, or neutral by police, we're adding it to our site. So again, I don't want to take over the whole show because and we could spend 20 hours and then my wife will never see me again, and Sharon won't be happy. But if you go to our website again, I don't get anything from this, but if you click on bookstore, and then there's a lot here. So we're recording, and then you scroll to Policing and Parkinson's. This is the book, but if you scroll down, you'll see that's me as an officer. But if you go down, there's a hour lecture for free. So if you click here, you can watch about policing, and then a lot of people endorse it. But if you go now, that's me. I give lectures around departments throughout the country. But this is what we just started. It's the media section. So anytime I hear about an actual case or something on the media, I'm trying to just start adding it. So if that was actually not, but just recently, I think a few days ago, I don't know what this is going to give. I see. So just anything, if you ever see in any country, something about police or somebody stopped someone and didn't have a good response, it's very important that we start this. There's nothing like this in the world, but this is about health first. That's not really, we don't have the time, but somewhere on here, just a few weeks ago in the United States, somebody was arrested for having Parkinson's, but they had nothing, they didn't do anything wrong. There was no reason to have arrested them. And this is the kind of stuff that we really need to bring out in the public.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Okay, great. Samantha has her hand up.
Yeah, hi. In terms of education and awareness, I'm going to give a speech soon in the school that I work to many pupils that I would say from 11 to 18 and colleagues as well. What do you think would be like the three key messages to talk about in terms of awareness and Parkinson's from your experience and your interviews internationally?
I think the first one is that no one's alone because a lot of people feel alone. That's a really important thing. Number two is just explain, one thing in my children's book I explained, especially for 10-year-olds and up, that Parkinson's is not something to be afraid of. You know, they can't catch it. They can't, because sometimes, you know, my mother was struggling and you know, hallucination delusions are even tougher. That's again another talk, but it can be scary. I mean, we had to remove the phone from my mother's bedroom because she was calling the police because she feared a lot of the caregivers who were there. So I think there's just a lot of misconceptions. And the third big one is it can occur again to anyone, but not just elderly, you know, old men getting Parkinson's. It's young people now. We have young onset. I mean, I heard, I don't know if it's true, but there was some young person, a baby born with Park. I don't know if that is, I heard a story out of the US. I didn't have the time, unfortunately, to look into that. But again, we are definitely a lot of things we can start doing, but we really need the politicians to get involved. We trust, even though we don't want to admit it or believe it, we trust our government, at least some of us. And, you know, we go to the grocery store and we hope that you buy something for your family, it's not poison. Well, right now, as we sit here, they're spraying, you know, homes and backyards and building golf courses that have potential risks to cause Parkinson's. So I think what you're already doing is really enough. Is if you just, you know, speak, if everyone out there speaks, whether it's virtual or live or writes a letter, it's really all we can do. But the more we all do it, it's changing the world for the better, in my opinion.
So if we go and check out those videos on your site, it's basically a training
Oh yeah.
in
Yeah. The
in
police one
how
I
to do it.
designed exactly for that. You could take that video, email it to your police department, and you don't have to do any. That's it. They'll have it. I'm not even asking police departments to add training. Like this is all I wanted to do is add the word Parkinson's disease to their academies throughout the country. That's it. That's so simple, but it's so hard. Like I don't understand why. They already have dementia and Alzheimer's. All we need them to know is there's something called Parkinson's disease and that they should be aware. But until we get something like that, you know, my department bought 200 copies of the book and donated them throughout the city. So now I'm hoping at least our city knows about it, but that's a lot. There's a lot more cities left throughout the country.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Just go ahead and speak up. Nobody?
Mhm.
We got
I
all the
can
answers?
I could address Sue wrote, and yes, unfortunately, I've probably written to every single person from the EPA to RFK to the president, and it's hard to get responses. A lot of federal agencies will not speak even on our show because they're just not allowed. I don't understand why. They'll go on other shows. And look, there's nothing more frustrating. I'll just take Florida. When I see a congressman partying at a Mar-a-Lago or out there in like restaurants to just partying, but when we ask them for 3 minutes, for their time, they won't come on the show to talk about awareness. And I don't care what, this is not a political issue at all. So trust me, we all want to cure for Parkinson, but I know I can only speak for myself. I will not vote, whether it doesn't matter what party it is, for any candidate or representative that won't give us 5 minutes to talk about awareness. Because it's their constituents that are being affected, and it's really heartbreaking when I get an email that, we could take a real example. I don't want Sharon to get banned, but when I was trying to fight for the national plan, at least on behalf of Florida, Senator Rick Scott didn't even hesitate and came on our show. Imagine having a U.S. senator, but Rubio at the time, I don't blame him because well, I do blame him, but he didn't want to come on the show and he had a rude response from a secretary, and he should know who he has employed in his office. But I put in one of my books called An Empty Seat at the Table, and they wrote that Parkinson's wasn't important. Well, I wrote back and said, Parkinson's is really important because I lost my mother and I don't want to get angry right now, but due to it, and people are battling right now. And I put it all and published it all. And, I don't mind getting sued because I'm a lawyer, but if you're not going to support this, then you will never get my vote. So, and I'll be saying that a lot of the next election because we can't get every politician out there to at least, write back to us or take a phone call, then there's no way I will support them. And I don't really care about what the party is. So.
Okay. Eileen,
Yes, on a different topic, what do you feel are the most important things that you as a caregiver did do well, or anything that you didn't do well when you were with your mother, working with your mother?
I love that question because it's actually, not funny, but odd that I don't really talk much about caregiving because I always, I'm just trying to teach people who aren't aware of Parkinson's and then just about what's happening today because I do care for everyone battling today and your families and the future. I don't look back, my only regret. Well, the famous saying is as a caregiver and an advocate, first you're supposed to care about your own health, and I didn't then, and I don't now. And there's a reason though, because we were told by 15 neurologists, movement specialists, like literal board certified, that she wouldn't die of Parkinson's. 'Cause you don't, you die with it, not of it. But she had no other issues, so I don't know if it was a complication. But I do know that on one night, and she went for a trial, and I'm for trials, but unfortunately she went home. I don't know if they drastically changed her medicine, but that was the downhill spiral that occurred the last 4 years, like I've never seen. And we're going to talk about and tackle it somehow in the documentary. But she went from someone who could walk a few miles to the last 2 years, a cane, a walker, a wheelchair, and then bedbound for the last 7 days. And if they had death with dignity in Florida, I would have done it because they tortured her for 7 days. She just had a heartbeat and nothing else. But so that the point is, I'm glad I kind of didn't sleep and got to spend that time with her because that was the most important time for me. Being the only time she felt comfortable was when I was by her side. I don't know why, but that was the only time. So I threw my own health out, but it was worth it. And today, same thing because I don't want anyone in this room or listening to the show to keep having to battle this. So I'll stand up if I have to be a warrior in battle, and I don't care what anyone says or who does. I'm not going to stop until all of you don't have to hear this anymore. So my dream, like Michael J. Fox, is to not do this anymore. I started publishing criminal justice books again, but it's not. So I don't have any regrets. I do wish today we have this technology to all be together. I consider every one of you family after this because you all mean a lot to me, even though you don't know me. But I wish I had a podcast back then with my mother, and it wouldn't have been about Parkinson's. It would have just been about our life, because there's so many questions and things that I don't really know, and I never will, unfortunately. Those are the tough parts. Today, as an advocate, some days again traveling, my back is killing me. I'm actually wearing ice now. Every 400 podcasts, I have to wear ice, or I can't do my show. But even through this my own struggle with health. I'm having an MRI, by the way, right after this. They call I have to rush over from my shoulder, so don't ask. But I don't care about all that. Anything I can do to help or just advocate, I'm going to do it. And I would. Doesn't matter the money, the cost. There's nothing more important to me than ridding this world, not just the U.S., but the whole world of Parkinson's disease.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Andrea.
Um, Hi, Dr. George. Hi, everybody. I have a comment and then a question. The comment is, you have a legal background, and frankly, I agree that a crime has been committed. Parkinson's doesn't run in any of my family members. We have a longevity, and it's all environmental. And here I sit with issues that started way before I was diagnosed. And finally, I was diagnosed. It's going on 8 years now. So yes, a crime has been committed, and it continues to be committed because the government won't stop all this toxicity in our environment. Um, and thank you for doing what you do. Now, here's my question. I have a very loving, kind family. And I have a care partner and my husband, and we're both retired. But what can I do? I don't, I'm a little slow, but I can do everything. So it's not that I want them off my back, but what can I do to stop them from worrying so much and to encourage them to take care of themselves?
That's an amazing question too. Unfortunately, I have a brother, but he's not, active. He really wasn't ever advocating. So every family is different. But I found, unfortunately, even my mother's best friends throughout her last 20 years completely vanished when she progressed. It was like even now I don't understand. Some people I guess can't, see what happens, and instead of being closer, they flight, the fight or flight. my biggest thing is, I hope, and I'm telling you, but I would need to tell your family to enjoy and cherish, every moment. Don't fight. We kind of used to have a holy war about what food we're all going to order on Sundays because we had a big family and no one wanted to agree. And now I kind of miss those fights, but they have to, respect, of course, what you want, your understanding, your wishes, but they have to be supportive. I try to always say to get rid of negativity because, I believe in being positive. Karen's one of the most positive people I know, and Dawn and Sharon and everyone. And
Yeah.
I find if you keep yourself around people who are positive, you're going to be much happier. But the negativity, I mean, I don't want to get too much into my family, but I have nothing to hide. I always say everything. But there were some people who just were actually more of a problem in my own family for me than even help. It's like I'm trying to help my mother, and all you're doing is making it even worse. Like it just was shocking. So I talk about again everything, but the best thing to families, it's very hard because I don't know your family. I don't want to tell you, but they have to, be positive, supportive. If you want to be, alone for a minute, they should understand and respect it. But I know if you ever need anything, I'm always here too. You mentioned something about law, but Dawn's on the call too, and we wrote a book on the law with another Kimberly, who's incredible, who is actually an attorney and has Parkinson, but a lot of legal things that families don't want to talk about. I think that might be also what you're mentioning. We wrote this book literally for free. We don't want anything. We're gonna have to get that in an ebook. I'll write a note for the legal book, but there's so many issues. Like my mother was a saint in a way because she actually already planned a lot of the things like the funeral, but we weren't planning it for Parkinson. She just, planned it anyway. She also allowed me to be her guardian, which was very important because if you don't have family who is a guardian and has, the social security card, her license, all her information, they will not speak to you. So you're shut down, and getting an attorney is very expensive. So there's a lot of things I think with people planned and talked about tough topics. Like, we don't want to talk about these things, but if you do, and you have a family that will work with you and talk to you, then you're going to have a lot of less problems in the future. Like I said, imagine if my mother didn't do all those things, if she fought with me, I wouldn't have been able to help her, support her, and eventually we were able to buy her a little house, brand new, near our house. And we ended up selling hers and mine, and we bought a big house here. She was supposed to move in and live with us, but she never made it. So, but again, a lot of the stress from our family was not easy. But I feel if you can talk to your family and again, it doesn't mean any of this will happen, but you need to have a will. You need to have, if you have a trust, you need to have everything ready so that the family knows what to do, you need to know if something is struggling medically. Do you want them to allow that to keep happening? I know with my mother, that again, Florida doesn't have something called death with dignity, and we treat our pets better than our loved ones. She suffered like nothing I've ever seen in my life for the last 7 days, and she didn't want that. She always joked and said, "George, strangle me with a pillow. Don't let me go through that." And obviously, I wouldn't do that. But you have a lot of while you still have your mental facilities, not you, but people can make some important decisions, especially who you want to be your major person to sign, like guardian, and if you're a minor or many. There's a lot of legal issues that people just
That's
wait.
what we need. That's what we need for
Mm,
care partners. That's your next book.
yeah, no more.
I know when
Okay,
my
unless
mother
you
had
want
a
to.
stroke about 16 years ago, we learned really fast
Yeah.
what we needed to do legally, and there's a lot. So anyway, Dawn, I believe you were next.
think she's,
Hi. Um, I want to make it's kind of think it's important to note. I know George, you said that, and I don't know if I've talked to you about this. I don't know if you've seen it on my Facebook, social media. I don't think people realize that Parkinson's is listed on the death certificate as secondary death, not the primary. And I think it's important to note that funding is all based off of that primary death, what is on the list on the death certificate. And I believe that Parkinson's causes strokes, causes heart attacks, all kinds of different deaths. And I think they could tie it specifically to Parkinson's. So I think it's important that the CDC and the government officials change that so that they record that. because I think that might help with a cure late at some point. Because I mean, if you don't tie these together and you don't listen, it's like if I pass away with a stroke, because I've had a stroke, which I had trouble speaking. Um, if you don't list these things, how do you? Who's to say that Parkinson's will cause a stroke or heart attack or whatever the case that caused you to die? If you don't list that, how are you going to stop that from happening for other people, from having strokes and heart attacks and etc.? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I think, again, that's another, we keep unfortunately coming back to you got to write your representatives and not just Dawn, everybody. Even, I was speaking to a Florida senator and they said, get your own community involved, try and get your neighbors to also write to the representative, your family. The more people we get writing, I'm telling you, I'm very excited in a way. I've never seen such an incredible positive shift of awareness for Parkinson's disease. And since the national plan to end Parkinson's passed unanimously through the United States Senate and the House, and the President Biden, former president, signed it. Unfortunately, the current president and the administration is not where we would like them to be, but they are hearing our voice when we have a. I'm not happy with Florida because they're not banning paraquat at all. I don't see that because there's a lot of agriculture farmers, and it seems like they're okay with poisoning everybody here. Hopefully, someone hears this and writes me because I'd love to speak to them. If you're a representative listening, this show could be the one that changes Floridian representatives' mind, but I don't know if it's money. Again, that's probably a big part of this problem. I was shocked when Margaret Preston, my co-host, went to speak to her representatives at the state house to ban paraquat, and I was excited for her. And she told me after there was a longer line for people trying to ban it. There was a longer line for people who want to keep it because they're farmers and they don't. It's just shocking to me. How could you have I was never even thought of that. I spoke at our Palm Beach County Commission office, the big meeting. It was really, I have it, it's on video on our website. Spoke in front of 7 of the commissions, so that's the entire Palm Beach County is pretty big. We're also not just known for not knowing how to vote, but we have, it's a pretty big, there's millions and millions, it's a big county. But it's shocking to me that more people are not waking up to this issue. And then the one you brought up, we just need more people contacting representatives. So imagine just this call for all 20, 30 of us, and then if 50 more people were listening, all reach out to the representatives, they're going to start listening. But when we have that DC event, and now I heard rumors they're going to try and do it in every state, so it's not going to just be DC. Imagine if you all can get involved and go to that event. And it's not just people who go to these things. You don't have to leave your house these days because of technology. You can do everything from home. So if you're not a DC, don't worry. That has nothing being there. I can honestly, I spend like 8 hours a day there. I feel like my representatives didn't even hear me. So I get more done when I go home. So when I'm in Florida and I'm writing and looking up research and hearing, more issues, that's where the work starts. It's not in DC, it's at our homes.
Yeah. All right, we have 2 more questions, but I was going to say, they had it in California last week, as I said, in Sacramento, and it's funny because our state senator went to Hebrew school with my daughter,
Well,
and he knows me, and then the state assembly person used to work in my husband's law firm, and he knows me as well. So, and unfortunately, I couldn't get there, so I want to set up meetings with both of them in their offices. I think that's the most effective thing you can do. But anyway, we have a question from Sue Brownlees, and then Karen had her hand raised, and you will be the last one, Karen. Sue asked if you reached out to RFK Jr.'s office regarding funding that the Biden administration signed into law.
Yeah, that's the one reason we went to DC with Michael J. Fox Foundation. There were 3 main asks. It was to fund the NIH for research. It was to move the council forward, and it's to ban toxins like paraquat, especially protect our veterans because we're losing veterans and their families because they're put in situations, whether it's water or where they're located, burn pits, and they're gaining Parkinson's. So yeah, we have, unfortunately, haven't had a response. It's very frustrating. I'm not going to tell you anything. Always be honest. If you get to know me or want to keep in touch, I'm always available 24/7. If any of you have social media, for some reason I'm on every single one there is. And I see Karen, if you write me about, I love to subscribe to your Substack, just write me there, or find me and add me and I'll add you back. But I think we all need to join together, not just social media, but in these types of conversations. I hope you'll all share Sharon's show and keep supporting her. She's a hero of mine. We joked when we first met because some people thought she was my mother because my mother's name is Sharon, but she's not. But she's definitely still my family. And again, until I have my last breath, which I hope's not for a long time, I'll be out there on the front lines in DC, in Florida, and hopefully a city near state near you. And I won't stop until they hear us. I always joke and say I might need to get a megaphone. All these people keep protesting. No offense, that stuff's important, but why don't I see a big mass, protesting for Parkinson's? I think maybe someday I'm going to have to start a big thing. Well, some of us can't march, my back, but maybe we all need to, not just show up at DC, but stand there with megaphones, shirts, and and protest for a cure. Because I think, unfortunately, that's how we get noticed. I can picture that happening. Maybe we'll have 1 million people for it. So I don't know how to put it together. I don't even think Michael J. Fox Foundation would be too happy, but sometimes you got
What we
to
need to do is on World Parkinson's Day, have this happen en masse all over the country.
that would be amazing, but it's hard.
Let's work on that. That's for
Eli,
next year. Okay, George.
thanks.
Karen, real quick, and then I'm going to wrap up.
Amplify each other's voices to accelerate the cure. Right there. And yeah, megaphones or those emails. Send those emails because they do make a big difference. Every one of us. And I expand on everything we've said, not everything. You guys have brought up some great topics. Dawn, about the cause of death. I mean, everybody has just really brought up some great topics here. I talked about a little bit in a blog that I shared, but these little things sent out. I mean, the Michael J. Fox has one, PMD Alliance has one, the Parkinson's Foundation has one, and I just got this one from the WPC where it says straight up, I have Parkinson's. I am not intoxicated. Put all your information in there and keep it in your purse. So if you do get pulled over and you're all discombobulated, you can just hand this to the police officer and say, hey, this is me. If I can't explain it to you right now, this is me. And having little things like this in our purse could help preventive maintenance on some of these. I mean, it is hard to get the police officer's attention, I'm sure, but the more we educate everybody we get our hands on or come in contact, the better chance we have to eventually, amplify each other's voices to accelerate the cure.
So what you can do, everybody on this call who has not done it so far, send me your story. Tell me your story about Parkinson's, whether it's how you think you got it, whether it's how it's affecting your life, your family, whatever. It doesn't have to be real long. It can be in a form of a poem. We've had that submitted. You could do a storyboard, like for cartoons or something, however you want to do it. Send me something, and I want to put all of this together in a book eventually. But I need to get some stories. Everyone that I've published, I've had wonderful responses to. People really appreciate seeing what others have been through and hearing what they've done. My personal story, when I was a kid growing up in St. Louis, they used to spray for mosquitoes, and we'd get on our bicycles and ride right behind the truck that was spraying chemicals all over us. Who knew in the 50s that was, we don't know, I don't know what they used. I've tried to go back into the records and can't find anything. There is nothing from then, but whatever they were using was probably like paraquat. And how many of us ended up with Parkinson's? You just don't know. But I want to hear everybody's stories. So please write something. It can be 500 words. It could be 20 words. Send me something and I will be happy to share it with everybody. And by telling people our stories, then it gives us the power to go speak to our Congress people. Once it gives you a place to focus. You become more focused on what the issues are. So thank you, George. This has been terrific. I hope to see you in Phoenix. And I know quite a few of you on the call are going to be in Phoenix with me. We're going to party. We're going to have a great time. Anyway, we have a couple of slides. Marina, do you want to put them up? A couple more slides. Just upcoming things. If you saw my blog post, this was a couple weeks ago, and Sue, who's on the call, was in this picture with me. This was in front of Beverly Hills City Hall. We got them to light up the trees in Parkinson's blue. So that was fun. Guy comes and he says, well, what color do you want? Anyway, let's go to the next slide. There have been so many new books about Parkinson's this month, which I wrote about, not this month, this year. And I wrote about it, posted it last week, and it went on Facebook or someplace, and Michael Oken had the same topic. Same exact topic. I mean, there's so many books. So we've got a lot of authors coming up. The next 2 weeks, we've got speakers. So next week is Steve Yellen, who is the author of a book called Living Parkinson's, and he's got some really interesting things in there. And then the one after that, on Mother's Day, my dear friend Naomi came out with a book, which is, let me see if I can find it, but it's, well, hold on. Because it's so cute. Here it is. She and her daughter Ruby, who I adore, put together this book. It's called I Laugh at My Mom Who Has Parkinson's Disease. Don't you love the title? And it's full of little vignettes about different things that have happened that are embarrassing, that are fun, they're good, they're bad. Just, it's adorable. So that is our Mother's Day special. Naomi and her daughter will be joining us. And then after the WPC, I have Christine Meldrum, who wrote the book about Parkinson's Cocktail for Exercise. And then the week after that, I have Jim O'Connell, who was an editor for Bloomberg News, and he wrote a book, and he is hilarious. His writing reminds me of Dave Barry. So we've got a lot of authors coming up, and there's still more that I haven't scheduled, but everybody wants to join us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's the last, yeah, and then just our last little bit here. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining me today. If you want to stay on for a few minutes afterwards, we can. But we're going to stop the recording at